I think that the techno-progressive community, people who are already interested in, for example, the development of artificial intelligence or space exploration or other areas of, shall we say, futuristic technology, these people already are, by and large, familiar with the work that I've been doing over the past decade. I've been fortunate to have quite a high profile in the media and to get around and give a lot of talks at conferences and so on. And so you'd have to, if you're that sort of person already, then you'd have to have been hiding under a rock pretty hard in order not to have come across all of this. Ultimately, though, therefore, the major focus has to be on addressing people who don't generally spend their time actually actively looking for information on long-term future technology. And those people, well, of course, I do get a lot of exposure in the mainstream media that ought to reach such people. But I think there's a lot of, shall we say, turning off or letting things go in one ear and out the other in this area. And I think the way to change that is to get people to understand that this is just medicine, that they don't need to think of this as futuristic, because really it's just another step forward, another range of techniques that are being used and are about to be used to address diseases that everyone knows are bad and also that everybody knows people are trying to address. This is simply a new and potentially much more effective way of addressing those same things. And once you put it in those down-to-earth terms, which people are not scared by, and once you stop people from fixating on the longevity consequences and talking about immortality and so on, it becomes much easier to get their attention. I think we've got about a 50-50 chance of developing the regenerative medicine therapies for aging that I've been talking about for the past decade or so to a sufficient level of comprehensiveness and sophistication so that they really work and they give us a few decades of extra life. I think we've got a 50-50 chance of doing that within the next 25 years or so. That's the level of sophistication that I've been calling robust human rejuvenation. And I believe very strongly that when we get that sort of level of comprehensiveness that gives us maybe 30 additional years of extra life, that we will have achieved what I've been calling longevity escape velocity, namely a rate of continued improvement of those technologies that will allow us to postpone aging faster than time is passing, so that people never actually reach the ill health of old age as they get chronologically older. Now, what does that mean in terms of people alive today? What I think it means is that people who are age maybe 60 or 70 or perhaps even a little older at the time that those technologies come along will be able to benefit from them and will become biologically younger as time goes on, as they're getting chronologically older, and will never have to suffer the diseases of old age. In other words, they will benefit from the achievement and maintenance of longevity escape velocity. So then if we ask how old are those people today, well, it's just arithmetic. If we actually do make it within 25 years, that means people who are in their 30s or maybe even 40s now will actually be able to benefit. Of course, I have always to emphasize that this is a very speculative time frame prediction, and I think there's at least a 10% chance that we won't get there for 100 years, in which case nobody alive today will actually benefit, unless they've been cryopreserved, for example. But I do think that a 50% chance is quite enough to be worth fighting for, so that's okay. Some people do have some reason to think in terms of actually longevity for longevity's sake. I normally make fun of the idea that one would do that, because ultimately the overwhelming majority of things that people enjoy doing, things people have ambitions to do, are short-term things. Thinking about what one would do in 50 years, let alone 500 years, is like thinking about what time you want to go to the toilet next Sunday. You're going to have better information on the topic nearer the time, so it's a ridiculous thing to have an opinion about now. But there are exceptions to that. In particular, there are things that may simply take a very long time to do. So if you want to go to the Andromeda Galaxy, that's going to take a long time, and therefore you'd better be alive for a long time. There are certain scientific questions that may be similar to that. If you want to know what the Andromeda Galaxy is made of, or if you want to figure out whether the universe is actually going to suffer heat death, or, there may be lots of things that are actually going to take a long time to discover in basic science and, of course, in technology. And if one is particularly interested in those things, then sure, it makes sense to want to live a long time.